It certainly was something that was fascinating to me, and like you said, a dream. But as a kid, it's just nothing I ever thought was realistic. And so as I went through school, I was always interested in finding out how things worked. I enjoyed science and physics and things like that. And also enjoyed solving problems. And so that's why when I went to college, I studied mathematics. But my goal was to be a pilot. I wanted to fly. And fortunately, I received a Marine Corps scholarship to be able to go to college. And when I graduated, I became a Marine Corps officer and then got to go to flight school, flew F-18s. And so it was still an impossible dream. I'd see shuttles launch all the time. But it wasn't until really once I became a test pilot that I then had friends that were getting selected to be astronauts. And I was like, oh, wow, if they'll select him, I know him pretty well. Maybe I have a chance. And it turns out that when I applied in 2004, I was selected. And there's so many people that are qualified. I still don't know why they selected me, but I'm fortunate and happy they were. My first day on the job with NASA, they had part of our new astronaut class in flight school in Florida, but there were 3 of us that were already pilots that they didn't send. And so they had this 35th anniversary of Apollo celebration in Washington, D.C. And they invited the 3 of us as the new exploration class to come be a part of the celebration. And so I put on my suit and we left the hotel, went over to the Air and Space Museum and went to the green room before the show started. And I walk in, first day on the job with NASA, first thing I've ever done with them. And now I'm sitting here talking with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Gene Cernan and Alan Bean and Jack Schmitt, half or more of the people that have walked on the moon. And I was thinking, okay, here's my childhood heroes, people that I, dreamed about the work that they did. And now I'm entering into carry on the work that they started. And it was a pretty amazing time and very motivational for your first day on the job, as you can imagine. No, that definitely is time to be humble. Here you are, people are calling you an astronaut and you've done nothing at all, and you're standing next to the people who, made the space program through, Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo, and to landing on the moon, and you feel very humble. And the thing is even once you get to space, it's also a humbling feeling. Maybe that was it. We've had some good Slovenian astronauts of Slovenian descent, Ron Sega, Sonny Williams, Jerry Linenger. So there's been some Slovenian in space. The first time you get to space, and that's probably, for me, not apart from the weightlessness feeling, that was probably the biggest thing for me, is because our whole lives, the horizon's flat. And you get to space, and it's this. And your mind extrapolates this. And so all of a sudden, the Earth is very, very finite, very small. And that's what makes you feel humble, because you're going around it every 90 minutes. And it's obviously just exquisite beauty that you see. And it changes every time you go around because the weather changes. And to know that the people you care about the most, in fact, everyone you've ever known your entire life, is down below on that little blue planet. In fact, all of human existence happened on this little blue marble that you're going around every 90 minutes. That's very humbling, but it's also very, you just feel privileged to be able to see it. And that's why we are so duty-bound to try and share that with everybody down here, until the point that everybody can go up there and see it themselves. Well, and that's the part, it is kind of overwhelming to think that every bit of human existence is down there below you and you're going around it every 90 minutes. And people have, sometimes felt a little detached. Nowadays, with the technology we have the ability to, at any time we have the right satellite coverage, I can go to my computer and put on the headphones and make an internet protocol phone call down to my family or anywhere else on Earth. And so it's a really easy to stay in touch. We have email, and then weekly we get to do video conferences with the family. And so, my kids who are now 8 and 12, we'd set up the camera in one end of the module and they'd say, Papa, do this. And so they'd want me to, fly down like Superman and come back doing somersaults, and allows them to get involved and kind of really, I don't say prove to them, but show that, okay, Papa's just not away somewhere. He's actually in space and he's in zero gravity, and we can have fun with it too. It's optimistic, but you remember Elon is a private company who's responsible for, generating enthusiasm and all that, and certainly the company's had amazing successes, and we certainly wish them amazing success for their Mars ideas as well. But I think it's probably going to take a little bit longer than that as the technology develops. We're still, they're one of two companies that are building a commercial vehicle to go to low Earth orbit to take over the role that right now just our Russian partners with the Soyuz are doing. And they're supposed to be flying that vehicle ideally later this year or into next year and start flying it. But it was supposed to fly 3 years ago. So whatever plans there are, you can imagine there's going to be some delay as you develop new vehicles, and that's normal.
You used, rightfully probably, the partners from Russia. When you're up and you are looking at this beautiful marble, is there a place not to feel friendship toward other people? Could be a feeling that you don't feel partnership with others?
No, not at all. I mean, I spent a year and a half training where most of my time was in Star City, Russia. And I had time in Japan, I had time in Europe with ESA, and you get to know people very well because your lives are going to depend on them. And it doesn't matter what country they're from or what heritage or what history they have. We're all up there executing humanity's mission on board the International Space Station. And, my Russian colleague, Sergei Ryazanskiy, his grandfather was one of the original 7 engineers that started and built the Soviet space program. So he has a huge heritage and in the Russian space program. But I'm trusting him with my life as much as he's trusting his with mine. And you come to find that people are the same the world over. His family and the dedicated people in our Russian space program as partners, they want to provide for their families. They want to be able to have safety and peace to raise their children. That's no different than here in Slovenia. That's no different than in America. At the people level, we all get along great, and especially when we have that one combining mission to explore and expand human presence in space, it makes it really easy to get past anything else that's going on, maybe at levels up here. Well, Slovenia was a place, it's almost like a magical fairy tale land because my grandfather and his brothers, first generation Americans, they always, they spoke Slovenian with each other. They, around the house, my grandfather's house, there was always, like a clock from Slovenia, and there was the city crest from Luce, with the lady and the basket and the fish, that was up on the wall. And so always heard about it and hear about the stories of they're coming here to visit, but never came here as a child. And so it was always a part of us and part of our heritage. And unfortunately, it wasn't until 2 years ago that I actually got a chance to come here for the first time and experience the beauty of it. And so my wife and our 2 kids, we came and drove in from Italy and just had a wonderful time, seeing the Postojna caves, seeing Ljubljana, going to the castle. My daughter bought this dragon hat to keep herself warm. We went up to Lake Bled, and my son organized our hike because he was a Cub Scout all the way around the lake. And then we drove up to Lubno and got to see that. And it's such a beautiful country. The people are so warm and friendly. It is that magical fairy tale place that I'd always envisioned from my youth. And also to see it from space and be able to, see these locations we, had been and be able to take the pictures and be able to go up. And, the end of yesterday when we were up in Lubno, Luce, and then Lugorska Dolina, to be able to show them the picture of themselves from space, making that connection from way far out, humans in orbit to we're right here on Earth. Because, Slovenia is just as beautiful from space as it is down here. Well, I think one of the things I've learned on this trip is just how large the Slovenian community is just in America. And I assume that there are Slovenians everywhere else in the world. And what I appreciate is that Slovenians outside of Slovenia are great examples to the country and the people that are still here. and being these wonderful ambassadors just by their presence and their personalities and their outlook, I think is something that Slovenians do well, and I think continuing that is certainly the right thing to do, and that allows people to generate interest in people coming here, being interested in here, and also keeping the opportunities for Slovenians here to go elsewhere and expand their horizons, expand Slovenia abroad.